Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 6 of the Squid QE podcast with guests. Today is a very special episode. It is featured by FullTechPodcast, marking the first episode I'm doing here of non-QE solo, whatever you want to call it, QE-specific players. I pretty much opened the doorways to just about any Quake player at this point, so today is introduced with Smango and Shadow Elite of the Full Tech Podcast. How are you doing today, guys?
We're doing great.
That is good. So go ahead and start off. Tell me a little bit about your guys' podcast there. I know it started out with like some Quake stuff there, but go ahead and tell me about your podcast.
Oh man, where to begin? Yeah, that's a long history there, Squid. So, back in the day, I wanted to make some Quake Champions come out, and I wanted to make a website called Quake Champions Fans is what it was going to be called. Thank God I didn't do that, but so Quake Champions was coming out in like 2017. So I wanted to make a website, and for you guys out there that don't know Smango, I'm in the tech world. I'm an IT professional and all that. So cool. I've been trying to run websites for a long time. So, learning Linux, learning Windows, whatever, and so when I first started getting into IT, I always wanted to run my own website, and, you'd start out small, and I didn't know anything about running my actual Linux, like Apache server. So, probably as new people do when they run a website, they might start with a program called XAMPP, which does a Apache MySQL thing kind of as a service on Windows. Anyway, that's how I used to do stuff, but now I've grown up and learned a lot more like Linux, and you just run a lamp stack on Linux and you can run as many websites as you want now, and I learned all that stuff. So I started learning that, and I made QuakeFans.net, and that's kind of where the podcast kind of started. Like I'd started a podcast before called KentuckyNerd.com, which doesn't no longer exist either, and I always wanted to talk about tech, so I started a KN podcast called KN Full Tech. So that's kind of where Full Tech come from, because I just wanted to talk, technology instead of all the other nonsense that we talk about, me and my buddy. So anyway, kind of spawned from that. Then I made QuakeFans.net, and it actually got some traction. It doesn't exist now. The old website kind of still exists, because I have it kind of as an archive on FullTechPodcast.com. But it did get a little traction. I started getting known a little bit, and so I started making a Quake Fans Radio podcast, and I would talk about Quake all the time. Then this Quake Champions, it just started not doing as good. And after you pinhole yourself in a niche like Quake, you just run out of stuff to talk about, especially when there's no new stuff coming out. And Quake Champions, it's unfortunately it's not as popular. Quake isn't as popular as it used to be, like back in the 90s, let's say. Like, Quake 3 is one of my favorite games of all time, and, millions of people played Quake 3. Now kids these days, they couldn't even tell you what Quake Champions is. Like, I try to get, kids my son's age to play Quake, and he might be the only person in the world that might know what it is just because he's my son. Like, other kids, absolutely not. And, I coach football, middle school kids, they ain't got a clue what Quake is. Now, but do they know what Call of Duty, Fortnite, and all that is? Of course they do. And, Quake is just not that popular anymore. And, I just kind of saw the writing on the wall. And I was kind of getting pigeonholed into just making Quake content. And I was like, you know what? I can still make Quake content and still talk about technology, which is what I'm really passionate about, is technology. And I still do Quake content. So, kind of where I kind of just rebranded the FullTechPodcast.com. That's kind of where everything started. And I've, updated articles. Of course, I brought Shadow Elite on, and I'll pay him per article sometimes, and he just helps out with the Discord and all stuff like that. And we're not a big company or anything. You know, we're just small and we kind of do as we want and when we want. You know, I wish I could make articles and do podcasts all day, but you know, being have a full-time job, kids, stuff like that, and you know, Shadow works too. Then I wish I had infinite amount of money to pay everybody as much as they wanted to write articles and stuff. But you know, it just is what it is. But that's kind of where Full Tech Podcast is now. It went from Quake Fans Radio to Full Tech. So if anybody ever watches or listens to the podcast, it's why it's a high number. Is it used to be Quake Fans Radio, then now it's Full Tech Podcast. It's basically the same thing, kind of, but it's not just specifically about Quake anymore. You know.
Yeah, so like you expanded your scope, so you had more things to talk about. Yeah, I get that.
And you know, I still niche down. You know, it's video games and technology. You know, it's kind of still broad. You know, I think why I was found was because I niched down to Quake, but then I just pigeonholed myself into being bigger. Like, imagine if I probably would have done like Fortnite fans or something like that. I don't know where would I been now. I don't know. You know, that's just thinking. You know, maybe what if, but you know, just Quake. You tie your wagon to a horse that's not going anywhere is kind of what I've done, and I think a lot of other people started seeing the writing on the wall too. And I think if you guys know the Motherload from In the Keep podcast, he kind of got himself in a similar situation. Is, you know, it was about Quake, then he started rebranding to indie games and indie developers and stuff like that, which was that was the smartest movie done instead of just doing Quake, because he started on the. I'm going back years here, guys. I'm trying to remember. So he joined in the State of Quake podcast. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that. I'm sure Shadow's probably listening to State of Quake podcast. I don't know if you probably didn't listen to it unless you was a Quake Champions fan. But there was a State of Quake podcast, and that was the biggest Quake podcast at the time. But even then, you know, they was doing all this work and stuff, and nobody was recognizing them because there's no money in Quake these days unless you're top tier professional like Rafa or somebody. Mm-hmm. So the Motherload started actually on the State of Quake podcast, and he's like, you know what, you know, these guys are niching so far down in Quake Champions, like I want to do other stuff, like talk about the original Quake. And he started that, and then he started interviewing people, and now he works for 3D Realms. So yeah, pretty cool. Well, I got all kinds of information about the Quake community. I could talk for days, guys. I'm sorry for taking up. You guys go ahead and talk a little bit more. I can talk all day. That's why I do it my podcast. I got a lot to say.
That's totally fine. I bet my fans are like the less I talk, the better. But Shadow Lee, did you want to say anything or anything?
Well, I am kind of actually fairly new to Full Tech, so I've been in it for now. Like as an author, I've been in it now since last December or January of beginning this year. But I've been around in the community probably far longer. I remember, like, as what Smango said, it was called Quake Fans, so I've been around for that when Quake Champions came out. Everyone actually was talking about it. And so I stumbled upon United States Doom and Quake community, and Smango was in there. So I joined his server, I guess, through that. It's kind of hard to remember a little bit since it's been a while. And I guess other things went on. And so, like, around last December, I made a review of a game called Dwarf Fortress because its newer version was just coming out. And, like, Dwarf Fortress is very well known for being the most complex game ever created. And so I just decided to do a review on it since I was new to it, but I've known of it since 2016, 2017-ish, and dabbled with it, despite it was very complicated to play. So I made a review and finished that, and I think I posted it in the Full Tech Podcast Discord server, and I think Smango offered to put it on his site as promotion, and so that went well. And then he offered me a side job to make more reviews as well. And so I've right now 5 written articles on his site, and I'm currently working on a video review.
Nice. What are like some things you usually like say on these articles?
I try to go in like deeper detail. I'm a very detailed person, so for like Dwarf Fortress, I try to like explain it to someone who's never really played it, or if they have, then they probably wouldn't really need a lot of explanation. But I just decided to go with someone's new to this. They're probably going to have to figure out what this game is, and so if they played a game that is part of the simulator genre, which is what Dwarf Fortress is. I've met some people who played simulators that thought that simulators have to be realistic. So, like, if it simulates a train going from this direction to that direction, then that's a simulator. Or Microsoft plane game, you play as a plane in real life. Like, that's what they kind of thought. That's what a definition of simulator was. But Dwarf Fortress, with the name Dwarf in it, it's not really what you would think would be a simulator, since Dwarf Fortress is a fantasy type world type game with a bunch of other things along with it too. So I just put things in detail, see if they're interested in it, and just very recently I had someone look at what I made, and they were immediately hooked when they read my articles.
Nice. So they're kind of like game review stuff, right? Is that kind of like
Yeah.
the end goal of it? Gotcha.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So what part of like all this, like what part of this made you guys choose like Quake specifically instead of like other games or something like that?
Well, I mean, I have Quake 3 tattoo, so I mean, I've just been part of Quake for a long time, and just getting into the original Quake and stuff like that was fun. I've done a little bit of that, but then it's just like I said, I feel like we kind of pigeonholed ourselves if we ever want to be like a bigger site or podcast. Like it's great to niche down, and we can still talk about Quake till till we turn blue in the face if we want to. But that's just kind of where that went. I hate this map, by the way.
Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of the last one, to be honest, but yeah.
I think I fell off of it 10 times.
I gotcha. All right. Well, yeah, that's pretty cool. That stuff you guys talk about there. To be honest, I'm not really a very big podcaster. Before I did this here, I don't know if I ever talked about this before, but I did I wasn't like a part of it. Well, actually, I think I did 1 or 2 episodes where I talked to them. But it was an old podcast group called the Binary Times. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it, but it was like a Linux podcast group. But they also did tech talk too. It wasn't just like Linux specifically, but they did a lot of stuff like that. And I started out like I did one podcast group because I was running I still kind of am, but I was running a open source community group. So I went on their podcast group to talk about them because they talk a lot about open source stuff as well. So I joined them, and then I became like a where I was doing like editing their podcast and publishing it on a YouTube channel, my old YouTube channel that isn't around anymore. But that was kind of like my first experience with podcasts and stuff like that. And then after I lost my last job, I was kind of like, I really wanted to do some more podcasts because I kind of liked it. I kind of like talking about stuff there, and I kind of figured I would do stuff like stuff that I'm good at, and like, you know, Quake is what I'm good at, so that was something. And plus, I wanted to start small too. I didn't want to start like somewhere like that was just like extreme or something like that. So I thought Quake was a good starting point. But there's other podcasts I like to do. Like I like to talk about like health stuff. If I could get like doctors on like a health podcast, stuff like that. Obviously that would be a different podcast, but still that would be really cool, and just kind of see how stuff like that goes, I guess.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I'm hoping this podcast, you know, starts me somewhere where I'll be able to take it somewhere far. I guess that's my ultimate goal of all this.
Yep. My goal right now is to hopefully get at least YouTube partnered, and it's like I said, even the YouTube channel used to be Quake fans, so there's nothing but Quake, and so rebranding actually hurt it in the rankings. But I think it's starting to pick back up. The more computer content I start making, the more podcasts I start making, I think it's going to start turning it around, hopefully. It already seems like it in the results. In like when I go to my Google Analytics and stuff, I'm starting to see a trend upwards again now instead of down. Just the rebrand.
Gotcha. I'm reconnecting because everyone's saying the like they can hear us, but they can't see the gameplay. So I'm just gonna reconnect here. See if that helps. Hopefully.
Yeah, I did notice you're not on this Quake server.
All right.
Oh, XFX is in here.
Yeah, he's part of the QE community and stuff.
Yeah, I've known him for a while.
Ah. Nice.
I've seen his YouTube videos before actually talking to him.
Yeah, he got big in the TikTok there for a minute, and that's where I saw most of him all the time. Then I kind of got rid of TikTok because I don't trust that thing no more. So.
I remember seeing his videos when Quake Champions.
That place sucks.
Yeah. And he had like this profile picture where it was like you have the Ranger helmet, but you also have Todd Howard's face on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
I think I've seen that one. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Well, shout out to Steph there. Steph, you're an amazing person, apparently. Gotcha. Yeah. So is this like is FullTechPodcast? This wasn't like your guys' first podcast, right? I think you were talking about like you had something else before that, right?
Oh, I've had a million podcasts, and this is the only one that's been. Quick Fans Radio was where I started getting more views because, you know, I was niched down. Yeah. But then I've transitioned to FullTechPodcast. So it's been the most successful one, even though when I say successful, it's not like I'm well known or anything, but like it does get listens and people do know who I am a little bit, especially in the Quake community. Now, in other communities, which I'm branching out to, not so much.
Gotcha. What about you, Shed Elite? Is this like your first podcast rodeo, whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, this is my first.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing. I mean, obviously you gotta start somewhere, right? I mean, like I said, I started with the Binary Times. I mean, I wasn't like hosting it or anything like that. This is my first like podcast where I'm actually like hosting it, and you know, like I'm gonna, you know, try to be here for a while and stuff like that. So that's what I got going on here. But yeah, no, I started with Binary Times, and that's kind of what led me to get the feel like how podcasting worked and stuff like that there.
Understandable.
Yeah. I didn't mention this before, but this is also my first time doing a, you know, like the Squid QE podcast. First time that we're doing more than one guest at the same time there, so I'm trying to make sure that both of you guys have the opportunity to speak and stuff like that there. So hopefully I'm doing a good job at that.
Oh yeah, you're doing great.
Doing a good job.
Thank you.
right now the Full Tech Podcast kind of just me blabbing. So, not that I don't want people on. I just where my schedule's so hard. I just I try to do a podcast a month.
Open up that window.
Over a topic.
Gotcha.
I mean, Shadow's welcome to come on anytime he wants, but it seems like our schedules don't line up exactly right.
Yeah, I work like Monday through Friday now.
Yeah, work gets in the way, definitely. If I could make a living doing podcasts, I wouldn't mind doing it, but...
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, but I feel like you have to be, like, kind of already, like a big person, or at least somebody a lot of people know, that to be able to make a living off a podcast and stuff like that. Like, I
gotta start somewhere,
Yeah, but like I always see these like YouTubers, and they just start a podcast, and then like after that they already got like
that definitely helps if they got like 1 million subscribers.
Well, yeah, because then it's like they're already getting like thousands of people already watching them in like their first episode like that, and averagely I just don't think a lot of people can get that many listeners in just that little minimum amount of time there. So like all these YouTubers and even like Twitch people, they got such an advantage and stuff like that, so it's what helps them get started and that kind of stuff there, and that's really where the real money comes from. But yeah, if I could make a living off podcast, I think I would do that. I think I definitely would do that. Definitely. So do you guys like because I know Smego, before we started, like you said you mostly played like Quake Champions there, and this is like your first time coming back in Quake 1 for a while there, or I think that's what you said, right?
Oh yeah. The most game I've played, in the 2020s has been Quake Champions, but I did join. What is he? QCDE? Is it? No, that's Quake Champions Doom Edition.
Oh yeah.
Well, there was a original Quake run by Mesa. Then there was another Quake Discord run by Nationwide Moose.
Mm-hmm.
And those guys had a really big Quake server. I don't know if you guys know this. But anyway, they had a really big Quake server, but they ended up falling out with each other, so they both kind of split up and made their own Discords and stuff like that. But we used to in the Keep, we used to play with them a lot, and we used to host tournaments and stuff like every week. Like, I used to host tournaments and everything for Quake, the original Quake here, and even played in the tournaments and stuff. Fun little tournaments like that, helping in the Keep and the Motherlode. So it's not my first rodeo playing this. I've not been the best at the original Quake by far. Like, I'd say Quake 3 and Quake Champions is one I'm better at. Or Quake Live, I guess.
Quake Champions is forbidden here. It's the forbidden word.
Oh.
It is, like I said, guy, it's set wrong. It left a bad taste in everybody's mouth. It's like a big Quake fan. Like, they done so many things right, but then they done so many things wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I did play Quake Champions a while back with the Slaughter community. I mean, like, I guess it's okay if you find, like, friends and stuff to play it with, but, yeah, it wouldn't be my go-to Quake game and stuff like that. With that being said, I actually did recently play Quake 3 with Shadow Elite here a while back when you hosted that Quake 3 event. That was my first time playing Quake 3 and stuff, so that was an interesting experience. But I would say Quake 1 I think is gonna be my like always go-to Quake game, and where I'm gonna main and where I'm gonna play the most and stuff like that there, probably because that's where I mean, like, I've played Quake 1 for a long time and stuff like that, so that's kind of where I guess where I shine and stuff like that. But rumor has it there's going to be a Quake 2 remastered. I don't know if it's...
I've heard that before.
I don't want to get anyone's hope up because I don't really know if it's happening, but that's the current rumor going around, so hopefully that's something interesting. I have a feeling if it is getting remastered, I don't think it's going to be from Night Dive, is what I'm going to say. Just because of recent changes that happened over there, like Atari buying them out there and stuff like that. I think probably had that effect, but I guess only time will tell on that. So I'm definitely looking forward to that because I did play Quake 2, not online, but I did play the campaigns, and I know a lot of people have their like mixed opinions about it and stuff like that, but I definitely enjoyed Quake 2, so looking forward to that.
I do know that Night Dive is going to be releasing Rise of the Triad Ludicrous Edition.
Yes, I did see that there. That's kind of more of a kind of like a Duke Nukem style game, right?
It came out before Duke Nukem.
Oh,
It was
okay.
made on the Wolfenstein 3D engine.
Ah, okay, so it's
Ba-
that old school.
Basically, it was supposed to be Wolfenstein 2.
Ah, gotcha. Wolfenstein 2. I guess they just changed their heart and decided to make it its own thing.
I think originally Tom Hall was like when he was still working at id Software, he wanted to do a sequel to Wolfenstein, but involved in cults and stuff. And so once he left, I guess he still had the rights to that certain project, so he just started working with at Apogee Software at the time.
Cool. Yeah, looking forward to playing that there. I do have it wish list, so hopefully that turns out pretty good.
Honestly, I have the Dark War on GOG.
I'm not familiar with that one. What is that?
It's Rise of the Triad, but with the Dark War expansion, I guess. It's the original game bundled with DOSBox.
Gotcha. Well, I don't mean to hog all the spotlight. Smango, what other kind of Quake style games have you been playing recently?
Another one. I actually haven't been playing Quake in quite a while. I've just kind of took a hiatus. I don't know. I've got burnt out on first person shooters. This is actually the first one I've played in I'd say months.
Oh wow.
But I used to host even open arena tournaments, rat mod tournaments, and I would say, as far as just completely open source, that's one of the best arena first-person shooters there is open arena. As long as you're playing rat mod. Now, regular open arena ain't been updated in a century, so it's kind of hard to say But the rat mod, is excellent for a Quake arena shooter.
Are you saying rat mod, like R-A-T?
Yeah, R-A-T mod, rat mod.
Oh my gosh, you mean that's actually pop?
Yes, it really is. It's one of the best clan arena things you can play, I would say.
That's like you're small and the map is like ginormous, right?
No, that's you're thinking of Instagib Rats Instagib or something.
Padman, probably.
No, I was thinking actually TFC days where that's how rat mod was.
No, this is the developer is called Rodent, so I guess that's why he calls it rat mod. But it's actually he's really good developer for open arena, and he keeps it. He keeps the community alive. I will say there's not much going on in open arena besides rat mod, and it's done very well.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I know the TFC version of rat mod, which it's probably, it's probably made by someone else or something like that, but the TFC version is like you're like a very tiny person and the maps are like super large, so like
I played like you'd be in somebody's living room or something.
Yeah, like you're simulating the fact that you are a rat, kind of, I guess is the idea of that. So that's what I was thinking. But what you're saying sounds very different than that. So.
Yeah, this actually don't have anything to do with a rat. It's just he calls it rat mod, I guess, because his developer name's Rodent. So as far as I know, I actually haven't spoke to him myself, but there's a lot of people that's in this clan called what is it /N. Yeah, they're big. He's actually in their Discord, and I used to hang out with those guys a lot. But like I've said, I just haven't. Ever since I got my new computer, I haven't put any Quake on here. This is the first one I've installed since I've upgraded.
hey, maybe this is your time to return back to the Quake community. And
I mean, I love Quake. I love Quake 1, 2, 3, and live, and even I love Quake Champions, even though I know everybody hates it, but it really brought my love back for Quake, and brought like people like me and the Motherlode together, or I wouldn't even met Motherlode or half the people I know anymore, unless Quake Champions would have came about. So I give props for that. And the Quake Pro League is actually really good, I think. They got some quality pros, but it's so hard for people to pick up and play, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. Kids just don't like this style anymore or something. I don't know why.
No,
I think it's more of a, like, they're so used to playing games where it's like, hey, you can just pick up and play. There's no need for mastering. While if you played Quake for the first time, it's like you're just learning that it's easy to learn, hard to master, but first-person shooters edition, while you probably may have seen that kind of design focus mainly in like MOBAs or platformers.
Yeah, definitely. 50 Pull-Up says Quake Champions is intoxicatingly addictive. FFA for the win.
There you go.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, like I said, it's not too bad if you find like friends and stuff to play it, but yeah, I don't know. It's just not my cup of tea, I guess.
Well, they actually had a game mode that everybody was Ranger, and they started out with no armor and everything. It's just like original Quake, and they're just running on their crappy engine. But it was really good, and nobody played it. That's what I'm saying. It's Quake Champions and Quake in general these days. It's just I don't know what to say. I really don't. I've talked about, like I've said this a million times on a million different podcasts and articles and everything. It's not there no more. It just ain't. Like, there's more options out there, like Minecraft. Just think of that, for example. That's like what I would compare like Quake 3 back in the day of mods and stuff. Like, you can do anything on Minecraft. Like, I think there is a Quake mod for Minecraft, if I ain't mistaken.
Yeah, there is. It's called Quakecraft, and literally all it is just Instagib.
That's not surprising.
Like that. Like, that's the only mode you can play for Quakecraft, and I think it's on the Hypixel server.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't. I don't even know what you guys are talking about. I've never played Minecraft. I've seen some people play it, but I've never really got like fully involved into it. So, yeah.
The most basic way I can describe it is, like, if you remember playing Legos as a kid, that's pretty much what Minecraft is.
Gotcha.
It's probably one of the biggest survival horror games there is, except it's not like horror. Like, it's kind of kiddie looking, but it's really in depth. Like, you can build, like, they have this redstone system, so you can basically build a computer. Well, like, you can use binary and build like whatever you wanted if you had enough time and resources in the game.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure people's got like working computers in it.
Mm-hmm.
Not like what computers we call computers today, but like computers that could do simple mathematical equations like zeros and ones. They could get that working in the game with its redstone logic.
Yeah.
So there's that. Then you got this building mechanic. You can build anywhere. You can design stuff, and it's just. Then you got other games like Roblox. I know all this stuff because my son. He's 10 years old. So I'm thinking from a 10-year-old perspective. Like, when I was 10, like, there was Quake and Doom. Now there's Roblox and Minecraft and Fortnite.
The forbidden stuff nobody talks about here either.
Honestly, when I was 10, the only games I really played were Age of Empires 1, 2, and Star Wars Battlefront 2004.
God, Star Wars Battlefront 2004 is really good.
I tried getting into Age of Empires too. I played the first one and I really liked it, and then it's like it's so weird because that game is like I feel like the second one is so much different than the first one, in terms of like how you play and stuff like that. But I don't know. I'm trying to get into it.
It's Age of Empires 2 is a more improved version of Age of Empires 1. Like you can actually start feeling it when like you start doing army formations in Age of Empires 1, but in Age of Empires 2 it actually has built-in army formations, so it's not like all scattered around like AoE 1.
Gotcha. Yeah, I see you guys' comments about the game being frozen on the screen. I don't know why that is. I tried fixing it. It's just like that. But as long as you guys can hear me, I'm not gonna worry about it. So that's the important part of this. So sorry, but it's just gonna have to stay like that for this time. But speaking
Can they
of,
hear us?
yeah, they can hear you. Yeah, that's fine. But speaking of Quake, isn't QuakeCon this summer?
It's in, is it October
August?
or August?
Yeah, I think it's August.
It's coming around. You know, the Quake Pro League's ending. Like they're having their championship there too. I don't know who's in first. I haven't been really watching it much either. I'm telling you, I used to watch this like every weekend, like write article about who's winning, who's ahead. Every day. There was even a podcast almost every morning there for a while, especially when COVID first hit, because they didn't have nothing else to do.
August 10th through the 13th.
Gotcha. Yeah. I actually had somebody recently message me if I was going to it, and I was like, nah, I'm not really into it. Plus, it's in Texas, and I don't really have a way to get there. But yeah, I'm not really.
I wish I want to go, but it's like the money it would take for me to get over there and back. And stay nights, and yeah, it just didn't add up.
Yeah,
I would like to go, probably next year or something like that. But then there's other implications like, I mean, I have a desktop computer. And it's like 60 pounds, and so I'm like, all right, I need to figure out what kind of carrying bag I would need to carry all this.
Yep.
And like, I know like some people would say, don't they bring like laptops there? And like I'm seeing past footage of QuakeCon installed desktops with the Ethernet cables and everything. And I mean, I have a laptop, but there's no Ethernet port.
Yeah, that's kind of stupid with a lot of modern laptops these days. I feel like a lot of them are just like, for some reason, just like, like, especially like the really cheap laptop stuff like that.
I mean, I have a working almost 20 plus year old laptop that has the Ethernet port.
Yeah, that was a big thing. You know, like you were mentioning, being in the IT business. I actually did IT before I got this job here. Now I was fixing systems there. I worked for the company I worked for was Support.com, but they were contracted to work for the Cox ISP. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's ISP.
Probably not.
It's a ISP in the United States. They're not very big. They're only in like a few states, so they're not like big like Spectrum or Comcast or anything like that. But yeah,
kind of like where I'm working now. It's not the big players. Yeah. Right here, I guess, in Kentucky, we're pretty big. I ain't gonna name the name of it because I just don't want people knowing where I work. But it's a small ISP in Kentucky. Put it that way.
But yeah, anyways, when I was working there, it was so common to see people like, oh, I have a laptop, but it doesn't have an Ethernet port, and like the problem being something like, like Windows is not. Like I can't connect to the Wi-Fi on my Windows system or something like that. And it had nothing to do with their internet. It was just Windows being like Windows or something like that. So it was always so hard to work like that because it's like, we're in the year, like, well, at the time it was like year 2020 or something like that. But it's like, it's the year 2020 and there's still laptops around here that don't have Ethernet ports on it. I don't get what the big problem is. It's not like it's taking up that much more space or anything like that. So why not just add an Ethernet port on it and get it over with? I can't imagine, like, in the year 2020 or even today that it's, like, much more expensive to add an Ethernet port on a laptop.
I mean, I guess it can depend on, like, how much space you can fit in the laptop, because I do remember that I don't remember which year this happened, but they, like, some laptops I would see around would have CD drives, and my first laptop I use, which I did mention it's almost 20 years old, has a CD drive in it as well.
CD drives. That was a thing.
Yeah, I think I remember those. Yeah, no,
Kids these days won't know about Napster and burning CDs at 1x speed.
Yeah,
Now they're streaming music instantly.
You know, it's funny. I saved my old CD-ROM from my old computer there, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll need it someday. And here we are, like, probably 5 years later, and it's still, I still haven't even hooked it up to my computer. I just don't have a use for it, but I feel like somewhere down the road maybe I'll use it or something like that, so I just don't get rid of it. But yeah, no, everything these days is all about that USB, you know?
Yeah. I mean, at least I still have a working portable CD drive, which I have it plugged in my current computer, just to play the original Age of Empires.
You guys might find this interesting. I have been ordering a lot of stuff off of Japanese websites lately. So the most recent thing I've ordered has been, I'm going very retro here, a Neo Geo CD. So yeah, it came straight from Japan. It just came in the other day. Shadow might have saw a picture on Twitter. Did I put it on Twitter? I might have put it on Twitter.
I think I did see in your
a Neo Geo CD. So I got out my USB CD drive, since we're talking about CD drives, and I tried to burn a CD because the Neo Geo CD turns out does not have copyright protection, so you can just straight up burn a CD and play it. But turns out that the drive is so slow, and the drive only burns at 10x that it couldn't read the disc. So you know, modern problems for old solutions don't work.
Dang.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I have this working Neo Geo CD and no games to play, unfortunately. I don't know why I didn't order a game with it, but here I am. But since we're talking about CD drives, and if there's young kids out there or younger people that are like, what in the world's a CD drive? Well, it was so weird when I first built one of my newer computers and I didn't put a optical disc drive in it. Like, that still blows my mind. I was like, there's no use for it. I just burn everything put everything on a USB. Like, it's so much simpler and takes no time. Hey, I know this map.
Yeah, it's campgrounds.
Yeah. Speaking of tech talk and USB, actually, how stupid is USB these days?
It's getting better. I think 3.1 is really going to turn it around if it becomes a standard, because you don't have to flip it around 15 times. You're trying to figure out which way to put it in.
You know,
I do know that the USB Type-C that everyone's been using nowadays for like phone chargers, my current laptop that I use, its charger port just to plug into the computer is a USB Type-C.
Well, from what I understood, they discontinued everything except for Type-C. So, like, the only thing for the modern standards, like USB 3.2 and 4.0, stuff like that. They only get the USB Type-C now, so they don't even sell the other kinds or even have the specifications for them anymore. So it's all about Type-C. But the one thing that annoys me is just how confusing the whole naming system is. You know, like, because I know, like, recently they actually switched it, so now like the naming system coordinates to like how much bandwidth, you know, like, so like USB 1.0 is like whatever speed it was, and then 2.0 was, you know, the 480, and then, you know, so on and so forth there. So they changed that there. But before, it was so confusing that, like, they had like a USB, it was like USB 3. Well, originally it was like USB 3.1 and then 3.2, and then they changed it to like 3.1 Gen 1, 3.2 Gen 2, and stuff like that. And it's just like, I think that's just such a stupid way, like, how you can just like just the most annoying way how you can confuse your entire user base and stuff like that. So it's really stupid. It's just stupid. That's all I can say about it. Is it's stupid. Yeah, but you are right though. It is getting better, and it's I think it's they're on the right track now. I would say. So yeah. But I'm
It's
waiting.
faster, and then you ain't got to flip it around 15 times, and
Yeah,
I
especially
think-
with the modern standards now.
yeah.
But I think I'm not. I don't want to say anything, but I have a feeling that USB is going to be replacing a lot of things soon. Like they already surpassed DisplayPort speeds with the latest standard now. Yeah, USB 4.0 2.0 is what they call it. Is capable of doing 120 gigabytes per second, which is 40 gigabytes per second faster than DisplayPort.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. So I have a feeling that if they keep it up, that USB is just gonna replace everything. Because like, why would we still need like HDMI and DisplayPorts, and I mean like it's even faster than Ethernet, I think. Well, no, I think Ethernet. I think I've seen them up to like 200 gigabits per second now, so probably not that. But yeah, it's definitely gonna. I think it's gonna take the cake, and it's just gonna eventually be like the thing that everybody's gonna start using or something.
I mean, I guess that would make sense because I did some research on USB because like my very first computer, the keyboard that came with it was a PS2 port type keyboard, and I researched that apparently it was replaced by USB.
You mean PS2 was replaced by USB?
Yeah.
Well, I guess yeah, you could look at it that way, because they they don't really sell PS2 stuff anymore. So I guess yeah, you could say that, but it is like a completely different standard and stuff like that. So it's not like backwards compatible or anything like that. So
True.
yeah, but isn't it crazy though? Like it kind of feels like they went backwards, right? Because if you think of like how PS2 works, there's no input lag. There's no input lag at it at all. So like. And
Yeah.
with USB, it's all dependent on the polling of your CPU. And there's always going to be an input lag with it. Because it'll never be exactly 0. It just depends on your polling rate of your CPU. So like obviously like what a lot of mouse companies are doing now is like they're pushing 8,000 hertz on a mouse. That's 0.125 milliseconds of an input lag. Versus a PS2 mouse, which would be 0. Yeah, so it's crazy that way.
I kind of did remember researching that and watched a video from Linus Tech Tips. It just I don't know, I guess when I was gaming at a young age on that, I didn't really notice it all that much. But then it just kind of got me thinking, like, if there was a way to, like, possibly just test the PS2 port keyboard and compare it to my current keyboard, which is EVGA Z20.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think 0.125 milliseconds would be noticeable to anybody. I don't think that's really humanly possible to be noticeable. But another interesting fact is that doesn't apply to just PS2. Like even like monitors, like kind of went backwards too with that, because even like analog CRT monitors had 0 input lag. But now with like the digital ones and LCD monitors and stuff, now we're dealing with with monitors that have like a response time on it like that, but you never seen that kind of stuff on a CRT monitor. So like even in that case, it felt like we went backwards in time with that.
Yeah, like I do know that CRT monitors had their own issues too, but I guess I think like when we went away from using cathode ray tubes to liquid crystal displays or other I have two IPS monitors, and so I was just researching all this. Like I do know that CRT monitors in the past, even I had one which its CRT tubes were blown apparently, so I can't use it anymore. I do know that like if you had the screen on the entire time without using a screensaver, you would get like screen burn, which I kind of did notice recently that with
Plasma
the new
screens
OLED
was the worst for that.
I do know that like with the new OLED displays, it's having that issue too.
Oh, okay. You mean burning on the screen? Okay,
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought you meant like your skin was burning, like sunburn or something.
Oh,
I don't
sorry.
know. No, you're fine. That was just me thinking. Yeah. OLED screens have that problem too with the burn-in, which is kind of why I haven't really gotten one. Even though I kind of do want to get one because I heard like the like the visual of it is just amazing and stuff. But yeah, I've been kind of holding back on it because of the screen burn. But I've heard that the recent tech of like LG and stuff like that, they've kind of they didn't solve it completely, but it's a lot better now than it was when OLED first came out. So. That's something to look forward to. I would expect another maybe 5 years that maybe they'll have that completely resolved, or at least to a point where the monitor itself will outlive the screen burning or something like that, so it wouldn't even be a problem to begin with. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the age of where OLED monitors will become the standard. Stuff like that. That's pretty exciting time there. So stuff like that. We got about 8 minutes left. I know we kind of been rambling on about different topics and stuff like that. Smango, Shadow Bleats, you guys talk a lot about FullTechPodcast, stuff like that, but what's some stuff that you guys do like on your like spare time, like hobbies and stuff like that?
Oh, I weightlift, I coach middle school football, coach Little League, doing father stuff.
Father stuff, yeah. Yeah, so you're an actual, like, coach?
Oh, yeah. Cool. Like, assistant middle school coach, football coach, and, weightlifting strength coach. And just over the summer, my son's Little League team, I was head coach fit, but... weightlifting, computers, retro games, that's mango in a bottle.
Yeah. You mentioned before that you don't really play FPS games, so like what kind of games do you play?
I have gotten heavily back into Diablo. Diablo 2.
Are you
I play first person shooters, but I don't know. I get so tired in the evenings even when I was playing Quake just then, my eyes started hurting. I was just like, I can't keep up with everybody right now because I'm just wore out from weightlifting today.
No, you're fine.
And but yeah, it's hard to keep up, man. I'm 36 years old. I don't know if my eyes are just getting old, but it's hard to be playing first-person shooters about, what time is it? 9 o'clock? It's just, like, the best time I'm probably good at shooters when I first woke up and got full of caffeine, but now caffeine's all wore out on me because I use it for pre-workout and stuff. I'm kind of crashing almost. So it's kind of hard to keep up with first-person shooters. You younger guys probably just... Your reflexes are way better than mine anymore. I honestly don't know how Liquid Rafa does what he does. He's getting up there in age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotcha.
I've been up since 6:15 today too. So it just after a while I'm just like, I just don't want to.
Yeah.
Like I love MMORPGs, strategy games. I love all kinds of games. First person shooters. I love them. I've played Quake, Halo, Half-Life, Unreal Tournament.
I I loved Unreal Tournament 2004. That was my favorite.
Oh, Unreal Tournament 2004 is one of the best games made.
Yeah, I think that was the best of them all. Although I do know some people that say Unreal Tournament 99 was better, but that was good. But yeah, no, I definitely preferred 2004. Kind of shame what Epic kind of did with those games. Kind of just like shut it all down and everything.
You can still technically play on them.
Yeah, like I know. I just wish that like they would have like remastered them, kept the legacy alive, stuff like that. But I guess it's whatever. I guess things have to go eventually, and they just chose now or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as for my hobbies, I do host the Quake events over at USDQC every Saturday. I play other games as well. Like recently, I just got back into Age of Empires 2 through the new expansion called Return of Rome. So literally, all it does is puts Age of Empires 1 into 2, so like a game within a game type thing. I'm just now coming back from playing Diablo for like 5 months straight.
Yeah, Diablo's probably one of my other favorite games.
Yeah,
you do have Diablo 2 Resurrected, don't you?
I do.
Okay. Yeah, you need to get on there.
Yeah, I got that too. I've been meaning to try. I finished Act 1 and then I kind of stopped, so I've been meaning to try and get back into that and complete it and stuff.
All right, if you guys want to add me on Battle.net and get on some Diablo 2 Resurrected, then I'm all for it.
Definitely.
Sounds good, yeah.
As for first-person shooters, I've mostly been playing Quake through the events, but I think as of lately I did play Herat when it came out early access, and I did pick up the Painkiller series as well.
What was the first game you said?
Rot?
I did play Herat.
Oh, Rot. Okay, yeah.
Herat when it came out early access, and then picked up the entire Painkiller series.
Yeah, I seen Salty Octopus's review on that game there, so it looks good there. I do have that game. I kind of stop playing games while they're in early access because I realize that like when I play the games, then I get like the general idea, and it kind of takes away that the new experience you get from a game there, and then like I don't go back to it for months or years on end or something like that, because that's another thing too with modern games is like I feel like a lot of modern games are just like there's not like a whole lot of like reason for me to go back and play them unless it's like something really involved like you said, like Diablo or something like that, but just like standard FPS games like Herat and stuff like that, like they just don't have like a whole lot of reason replayability and stuff like that. Yeah, so I try to play games when they're actually completed, and then like if I feel like it, maybe I'll come back in a year or two or something like that. But yeah,
I was in the same way. Like majority of early access games I played before, like I think the first early access game in an indie boomer shooter was Wrath. So before that, I played a bunch of roguelikes like Cogmind and Caves of Cud, and those games offer high replay value, so you can just play them as long as you want. So I was used to that, but I guess games without any like actual replay value, they're also early access, is like you're playing a test build of a game that may or may not come out when it's fully done.
Myself, I've been playing a lot of like open world survival craft games, stuff like that. Like right now I'm actually playing Raft and stuff. I'm very far away from Quake, obviously, but yeah, just like I don't know what it is about those kind of games. I just suddenly got into them like a few years ago, and I've just been playing them. I know like the very first one, like open world survival craft game I really got into was Myst Survival, and the only reason I got into that one is because I saw Markiplier play it, and I was like, oh, this game looks really good. I'm gonna wishlist it, and I bought it, and I just really liked the game there, and That specific game, obviously, development's been very slow on that game, but it does have potential. And then I just started this whole stream of playing like other open world survival games. Like I got Raft, I got Planet Crafter. That's a really good one there. I can't wait for that one to come out of EA. And then like I also got a few others I can't think of right now. But yeah, I just like I don't know what it is about them. I just really got into them, and I just really enjoy them. So I've been playing some of those a lot. So that's kind of what I've been doing when I don't play Quake and I'm gaming or stuff like that. So plus they're also relaxing too. Like you said, when you're coming home from like a long day's work or something, they're just like a nice relaxing game to play, and it's like not intense like Quake is here.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're hitting our 1 hour mark, guys. Is there any like last minute things you want to say, ask, talk about, anything like that?
I don't have nothing.
I don't think I have anything either.
All right, sounds good there. Yeah, definitely go check out FullTechPodcast. I'll have a link in the description of this video for you guys to go check out. They talk a lot about tech stuff over there, Quake stuff, whatever they talk about over there. Yeah, but this will conclude episode 6 of Quake QE podcast with guests, featuring the first time that I'm opened the doorways to pretty much all Quake 1 players and non-QE players, and the first episode that's featuring 2 guests, and the first episode that's featuring a different podcast group. So this was a kind of a special episode, I guess, now that I'm thinking about it. But Shadow Elites, Mongo, thank you for coming on this podcast. We'll go ahead and wrap it up here. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys there. A lot of information shared, and I hope to see you guys in Quake more often, I guess.
For sure.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off, guys. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and stay tuned for an episode setting in the future. Bye-bye.
Bye.